Straight talk from Israel. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
Political Hitman. I'm Howie Silberger, your political hitman, here on Israel News Talk Radio. We are live, which means you can call in. Go to IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. The numbers are on the top of the page there. And, of course, you can always join me in the chat room by clicking on that big orange button that says chat room on IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. And I am on the chat room. I am in the chat room. I'm not on the chat room. I'm in the chat room for the duration of the show. So join me in the chat room and call in. IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com, and the numbers are on the top of the page there. The big orange button for the chat room is on the top of the page there too. So this is Political Hitman, and today I want to tackle a topic that I haven't talked about before. And it's rare in politics when you're talking about different things in politics that you don't cover a topic. But this topic, I haven't spoken about this topic, not on this show, not on any other show that I've done. In the last 26 years I've been on the radio, I have not tackled this topic. And this show, we're going to look at it. I want to look at the topic of Messiah. I want to look at the topic of the Messiah. The Messiah the Jews have been waiting for. Has the Messiah arrived and Jews are just blinded to it? Are the signs that the Messiah has arrived there? I'm willing to wager. I'm willing to bet that you're going to say, well, Howie, if the Messiah were here, the Jews would all be going to Israel. Wait a second. Jews would all be going to Israel. Well, wait a second. The Jews would all be going to Israel. Howie, if the Messiah were here, there'd be world peace. And the Jews would all be going to Israel. All right. So we're going to talk about the Messiah. We're going to talk about, is the Messiah here? Are we just ignoring the signs that the Messiah is here? And is the world trying to tell us, hey, Jews, wake up. The Messiah is here. Wake up. Is that the message that is being sent to the Jews today in the world? You can call in North America 301-768-4841, in Israel 02-6500151. You could join me in the chat room by going to IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com and clicking on a big orange button that says chat room.
I'm Jono Vandor.
And I'm Ross Nichols.
Join us on our program, Israel on My Mind, a show that broadcasts all the weekly goodness that flows like milk and honey from the Holy Land straight into your ears with humorous and happy news stories.
We're going to be talking about...
What are we going to talk about?
A person who takes out a terrorist with a pizza tray.
And there's Donald Trump talking to a turkey. What's that about?
A 71-year-old rock star is a staunch supporter of Israel.
Join us on our program, Israel on My Mind,
every Thursday.
Political Hitman. I'm Howie Silberger. This is Political Hitman here on Israel News Talk Radio. You could call in. The numbers to call are on the top of the page on IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. And you'll also find a big orange button that says chat room on the top of the page at IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. I'll give you the numbers anyway, just because they're fun to read. In North America, the number is 301-768-4841. In Israel, the number is 02-6500151. Once again, those numbers and the chat room link are on the top of the page on IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. The conversation in the chat room is always fun. Join us in the chat room, IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. All right, I'm Howie Silberger, this Political Hitman. We are talking about the Messiah. Has the Messiah come? And we just aren't recognizing the fact that this Messiah has arrived. You know, we say at the Pesach Seder next year in Jerusalem, we pray for the Messiah. There are groups that sing that sing, it's time for the Messiah to come. How long do we have to wait? I mean, there's all these songs out there about waiting for the Messiah. It's 2,000 years we've been waiting for the Messiah. Where is the Messiah? Is there a chance that the Messiah came? Is there a chance the Messiah came 80 years ago or 70 years ago or even 60 years ago, and we haven't recognized the fact that the Messiah has come? I remember years ago, I used to joke, and it was kind of a half-hearted joke. I used to joke that if somebody came down and said, I am the Messiah, and they showed all the indications that they were the Messiah, we would put them into a mental institution because Jews would not be ready to accept the fact that the Messiah is there. Jews would not believe this person. They'd say this person is a nutcase and put them into a mental asylum. It was a half joke 20 years ago. But what if that's the reality? What if we have seen the Mashiach, the Messiah, and we have not recognized that the Messiah has come? So let's take a look at some of the facts. We'll take a look at some of the facts. The Jews went through a Holocaust. Just before I get to the phones, and you could call in 301-768-4841. In Israel, 0265000151. Let's take a look at the Holocaust. In the Holocaust, a third of the Jewish world population was massacred. They were murdered in the Holocaust. 1/3 of the Jewish population of the world was murdered in the Holocaust in the most brutal way possible. There was no more brutal way to kill people than the way that the Holocaust killed people. I don't have to get into details. We all know the details. Jews were killed in the Holocaust. They were massacred. They were murdered in the Holocaust. And the murder of the Jews in the Holocaust was in the most brutal fashion. There was no way a Jew standing in 1942 in the middle of Auschwitz or middle of Majdanek or middle of Dachau could not imagine that Judaism and the Jewish people would survive outside of, after the Holocaust, would survive, that there would be a Jewish people after what they witnessed in these death camps. Yet, 1945, the war ended, and in 1948, a state for the Jewish people was formed. They went from Dachau to Jerusalem. Think about that for a second. Let's go to the phones. Larry from the Midwest. Hi, Larry.
Hey, how are you doing, Howie?
So Kansas is the Midwest now?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I can tell you, Howie, if the Messiah showed up here in the Midwest, if he didn't speak with a German accent and sound a little bit like a Lutheran, they would not accept him. They would not recognize him.
Isn't that amazing? If the Messiah came and fit the exact criteria of what the Messiah should be, they would not recognize him. And this has been a joke. It's a half joke I've been talking about for 20 years already. That we just wouldn't recognize him. We would not accept him as the Messiah. It's kind of sad, isn't it?
That's what I think. Because around here, all they think about is condensation trails from jets that the government is lowering everybody's IQ, and they don't think the Pentagon was really hit by an airplane, and they're so far out in left field around here. The only thing they really discuss, and factually, is ball scores. And boy, they can certainly do that. But did you hear? Do you remember the Reverend Sung Young Moon, that was the head of the Mooney organization, that Unification Church?
Yeah, that was about 30 40
Yeah, he was at a prayer breakfast one time with a bunch of politicians in Washington, D.C., and about halfway through his little talk he gave, he announced that he was the Messiah. And then I never heard any more about him after that. He just sort of faded into obscurity. But I used to talk with a Chabad rabbi in Palm Springs, and I know there was some controversy going around, and I don't think Rabbi Menachem Schneerson ever claimed to be the Messiah, but some of his followers sort of said that he was the apparent Messiah. And I always ask, what do you mean apparent? Now, was he? Do you think he was the Messiah or not? And they would look back at me and say, well, the apparent Messiah. So I could never figure out what they were even talking about, to be honest.
So let me explain it to you, because I actually understand what they're saying. So Jewish tradition holds that there's a Messiah in every generation. So every generation has a Messiah, a potential Messiah, an apparent Messiah, but that Messiah won't reveal himself until the Jews are prepared to accept him as Messiah. So, so it is a strongly held belief in Judaism, in the Jewish community, in the entire Jewish community, that the Lubavitcher rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson was potentially the Messiah of his generation.
Okay, well, if there's one every generation, I could accept that. He was an amazing, wonderful, astounding man. I know that.
He was, yeah. And he did more to unify the Jewish people than any other Jewish leader in recent Jewish history. So by doing that, and by transforming Judaism the way he transformed Judaism, by bringing Jews back into Judaism, it was kind of the renewal movement, right? He went out and they brought Jews back into Judaism. By doing that, he actually fit the criteria. Well, most of the criteria of who could possibly be a Messiah of that generation. Of course, when the person dies, they can't be Messiah anymore, because that kind of eliminates them from being Messiah. But while he was alive, he had the potential to be the Messiah. Maybe the Jews weren't ready for the Messiah. Maybe we just didn't recognize him as the Messiah. But that was the potential. But that whole Messianic movement after he died bordered on Christianity more than Judaism. So it kind of veered off there. But while he was alive, he was potential. He was the potential Messiah for sure.
Well, I'll tell you, he was mighty impressive in my opinion, and he's just one of my favorite human beings since I've been on this earth. And I'm unaffiliated, but I'll tell you, I was mighty impressed by him and the things he said. And my other favorite, of course, would be maybe Mark Angel or Jonathan Sachs. I'm very impressed with both of them, too. But, not that they're a potential Messiah. They're just people to be admired. Did you hear that horrible Catholic joke? Of course, they would think the Messiah was coming the second time. But a priest in Palm Springs started his sermon by saying, the good news is that the Messiah has returned. The bad news is that he landed in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh, jeez.
It's kind of disrespectful to say that, but anyway. I sure like listening to your show, Howie, and I always look forward to it, and that's about all I can say, except that I'm going to hang up now and listen to some more of it.
I appreciate you listening and you calling in and taking part in it, and I wish more people would be like you. Listen, call in, take part, be part of the show. Thank you, Larry. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, too, very much, Howie. Bye.
Bye. All right, so if you want to call in, you can be part of the show, too. In North America, 301-768-4841. In Israel, 02-6500151. I'm not looking at the religious aspect of Messiah this show. I am just looking at the signs that we might be missing to say that Messiah is here. So let's take a look at another one. So the state of Israel was created, a state for the Jewish people. I'm not going to call it a Jewish state. We've had this conversation before. But a state for the Jewish people was created right after a genocide of the Jewish people, which should have wiped out the entire nation. But the nation wasn't wiped out, and a state was set up for the nation. Jews suddenly had the option to be in Jerusalem this year. That's been going on since 1948. Jews have had the option to be in Israel. So the question is, we say it all the time. Next year in Jerusalem, next year in Jerusalem, next year in Jerusalem. But why are we saying this year in Jerusalem? Why aren't we all just getting on planes in North America, just getting on planes and flying to, in Europe, North America, getting on planes and flying to Israel and staying there? Why haven't the Jews relocated themselves to the state of Jews? It's a question. Now, the world has shown us that they don't want us living anywhere else, and that might be a message from God. The Holocaust might have been a message from God that Jews have to move to Israel. The Holocaust happened, then the state of Israel was created. Can't be a clearer message than that the Jews are not supposed to be in the diaspora anymore, We tried to kill you. We didn't succeed. The state of Israel now exists. The right of return. Every Jew has the right to go to Israel, to return to Israel, to live in Israel. And yet there are Jews who haven't taken up the offer. Yet there are Jews who insisted on moving back to the places that wanted to kill them. I'm Howie Silberger. We'll take a little break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. Call in.
Hi, everyone. This is Andrea Simento from Jerusalem, inviting you to drop everything and join me on my show, Pull Up a Chair. We'll visit this week's quirky stories, meet fabulous guests, and discover my Israel. Together, we'll laugh, shout, and explain the topics that make us say, hey, we've got to talk about that. So get comfortable and pull up a chair with me, Andrea Simento, every Thursday on Israel News Talk Radio.
Hidden treasures in the Hebrew Bible?
Then join me, Rav Yitzhak Michelson,
And me, William Hall,
on the Science of Kabbalah, where we are seeking to narrow the gap between what we understand of our physical and spiritual worlds. So make sure to tune in every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Israel time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on Israel News Talk Radio.
Political Hitman. I'm Howie Silberger. This is Political Hitman here on Israel News Talk Radio. You could be part of the conversation. Give me a call. In North America, 301-768-4841. In Israel, 02-650-0151. If you're a little shy, that's no problem. No problem at all. You can go to IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com, where the numbers, by the way, are on the top of the page, and click on that big orange button that says Chat Room, and you can join us in the chat room. The conversation chat room is always interesting here on IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. Let's go back to the phones. Antonio, welcome to the program.
Hey, Howie, how are you?
I am excellent. Where are you calling from, Antonio?
Washington, D.C.
Welcome to the program. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. You made a statement a little while ago. You said perhaps some of the Jews in Israel want the black to go back to different countries they came from.
Yeah.
It's similar to what's going on like in the Exodus when some Israelite want to return back to Egypt. Some want to fight and some want to go forward.
Yeah, in Egypt, in the Exodus story, it's estimated that it was only I think it was a third or an eighth of the Jewish population left Egypt when Moses led them out. It wasn't the entire population of Hebrews. It was only like a third or an eighth. I don't remember what the number was, but it was a very low percentage of people who left with them.
And then perhaps Hashem is putting off, well, not putting off time, giving each person an opportunity to do teshuvah and to get to know him before that day comes.
That's possible too, but we've gotten to a point in history now where it's quite obvious that Jews are not welcome anywhere in the world. And so is that not a sign from God that Jews should be leaving? That Hashem is saying, time to go to Israel where you are welcome?
Pretty much.
I mean, take a look what's happening. Take a look. There was a shooting in California in a synagogue. There was a shooting in front of a synagogue in Florida this week. There was another Florida synagogue that received a threatening package. It could have been a bomb. Students on campus right across North America are afraid to wear kippahs on their heads. Jews in France were told by the rabbis not to wear kippahs on their heads because they put on a skull cap, they could be killed. Is this not clear that maybe God is saying, hey, what are you doing there? It's time to go?
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah. And we're just blind or too comfortable to see it.
Oh, we're very reluctant, stubborn.
Yeah.
But everything has a reason. But, Hashem does everything for his reasons.
I agree, and I think that all these calamities that have hit the Jewish people in the last, let's say, in the last 30 years, is a push for Jews to move to Israel. I think it's a push, a signal, saying that your time in the diaspora is up. Time to go. I think we're just resisting it, but I think it's clear signs. I can't imagine that it's not clear signs.
But also, I just thought about something. Perhaps, when Hashem is saying, okay, you don't want my kids, my children to be in your city, your country, whatever it may be. Okay, no problem. And so we leave. That country is pretty much going to fall, and Ishmaelites, Muslims, Arabs, comes in and they have a different set of people. Who's going to give them help? You don't want my children to be here, so I'll replace my children and put another kind. Measure for measure.
So you're saying that the Jews moving to Israel will bring Arabs to Israel? I don't understand what the point you were making.
Example, let's say for example, what's going on in Europe.
Yeah.
Okay. When a lot of Jews were there, everything was going good and so forth, and Europe started going opposite, anti-Semitic, and so a lot of Jews left and returned back to Israel, and now Europe is full of Arabs, Muslim, and the European can't control them.
Okay, so good for the Europeans. They weren't very nice to the Jews, and they're not going to be very nice to the Muslims
exactly.
either. Yeah.
Measure for measure. So perhaps Hashem is saying, since you don't want my children to be at your country, at Europe, whatever it is, I'm going to move them out, and I'm going to draw another set of children, and you have to deal with it.
So you're thinking that God's punishing this country for what they did to the Jews?
Yeah.
It's possible. I don't know. I'm not God, but it's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great thing to think, and if that is the hand of God, then it is truly amazing. And I have to think about this for a little while because I never thought about it like that. It's like I have to think about that for a while, but you might be right. I mean, you might have a point there. I have to really take a look at the situation and think about it.
Yeah. Everything in life has a purpose, a reason, and. For example, for us to return back to Israel, and the few who decided they want to stay whatever country they may want to, they got to suffer the consequence of their actions.
Yeah, well, we all suffer the consequences of our actions. Our decisions define us, really. So, yeah, you're right. Thank you, Antonio. Thank you so much for calling.
Okay.
Think about it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That was Antonio from Washington. You could call in too. The numbers are on the top of the page on IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. I'll give them to you anyway. In North America, 301-768-4841. In Israel, 02-650-0151. You join us in the chat room by going to IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com and clicking on that big orange button that says Chat Room. So Antonio might have a point there, and I really like that point, that maybe God ushered his children, his chosen children, out of the lands of Europe and into the land of Israel and replaced them with his other children who are a little more rambunctious, who cause a little more trouble. That's possible as a punishment. That's very possible. Extremely possible. And it's a very good point. Thank you, Antonio. That's a very good point. I have to think about that point because that might be a possibility that God is replacing his chosen people with other people. We're seeing it around the world, by the way. The Muslim population around the world is growing in every country around the world. And that might be an indication that the chosen people have to go back to their country and God's other people will inhabit all the other countries. It makes perfect sense. Thank you, Antonio. I didn't think about that at all. Those Jews, by the way, who said that that the creation of the state of Israel was just the world being upset and being guilty about the Holocaust, and it's nothing to do with God. And there were plenty of Jews that said that in 1948. Couldn't really say that in 1967, after the Six-Day War, where Israel had no chance of surviving that war, and they won the war in 6 days. Not only did they win the war, but they conquered all of Jerusalem and a lot of other lands. And that was the hand of God. And so the Jews who said, look, God wasn't involved in the creation of the state of Israel, couldn't really say that in 67, where everyone thought that Israel was going to be annihilated. In 72 or 73, where everyone thought that Israel was going to be annihilated. In 56, when everyone thought Israel was going to be annihilated. You know, God's hand is clear in Israel. It is clearly there. And Jews around the world are just ignoring it. Let's go to Nathan in Melbourne, Australia. Hi, Nathan.
Oh, hi, Howie. How you going?
I am good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Now, the question about the Mashiach, the Messiah, it is a good question. Is the Messiah, what type of, is it a person, or in what form will the Messiah come?
I didn't want to get into the physical attributes of Messiah. I just wanted to get into the concept of Messiah because we have the state of Israel. And Nathan, at your Pesach Seder, at the end of your Pesach Seder, did you say, B'shana haba b'Yerushalayim, the next year I hope to be in Jerusalem? You said it at the end of your Seder. I said at the end of my Seder. Millions of Jews across North America said at the end of their Seder. Millions of Jews across Europe and Australia said at their Seder. And we could just hop on a plane and be in Jerusalem. So what do we say?
Many Jews around the world have said, B'shana haba b'Yerushalayim. They say it anywhere across North America, Asia, and around the world.
So what are we saying? What are Jews saying? They could hop onto a plane and be in Jerusalem in however many hours it takes to fly from wherever they are. So why are we praying to be in Jerusalem? I mean, we say it during daily prayers too. We hope to be in Jerusalem. We hope to be in Jerusalem. We hope to be in Jerusalem. But you could be in Jerusalem tomorrow. So why are we praying for this?
Because I think that one day that all Jews will come together and will be in our own homeland, the state of Israel. That's what it says in when we say B'shana haba b'Yerushalayim. That one day that the Mashiach will come and will take us all to the promised land.
Yeah, but the promised land is available to us. It's already there.
Yeah.
It's already there, and Nefesh B'Nefesh will take you there.
Correct.
So why are we still praying to go to some place we could just get onto a plane and go to? That's the question I'm asking.
It's a good question, and no one's given the answer. And I've asked the rabbis that, but no one comes up with the answer.
Nathan, I'm just up against the clock, so I have to let you go. Thank you so much for calling. Appreciate it. That was Nathan.
Thank you. Great show.
But that's the question. Why are we saying next year we hope to be in Jerusalem when we could hop on a plane and in a few hours from wherever we are in the world, we could be in Jerusalem? Give me a call. North America, 301-768-4841. In Israel, 02-650-0151. Go to IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. On the top of the page, there are the phone numbers to call in and a big orange button that says chat room. Join me in the chat room. I'm Howie Soberger. This is Political Hitman on Israel News Talk Radio.
Leap of Faith with Penina Taylor.
We live in the age of information, but not inspiration. If you're like me, you're looking to be inspired to reach higher, to connect more, and to grow. Well, if you want to get warm, you need to stand close to the fire. And if you want to catch fire, you need to stand close enough to get hit by the sparks. Join me, Penina Taylor, as we walk with people who have embarked on a spiritual journey towards Torah. We'll uncover what started them on their journey and what truths they discovered along the way. So prepare to be inspired as we take a leap of faith every Sunday at 5 p.m. on Israel News Talk Radio.
Political Hitman. I'm Howie Soberger. This is Political Hitman here on Israel News Talk Radio. Just go to the website, IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com, and the numbers are on the top of the screen, but I'll give them to you anyway. 301-768-4841 if you're in North America. If you're in Israel, 02-650-0151. You could click on that big orange button that says chat room, And you could join us in the chat room on Israel News Talk Radio. So many ways to interact with the show right here on Israel News Talk Radio. So the question I'm asking, and this is the question that I've been asking since minute number 1 of the show, is have the Jews missed the boat when it comes to Messiah? Has Messiah come and we've just kind of missed the boat? So many signs that Messiah has come, and the biggest one is the existence of the state of Israel, is the existence of airplanes that are willing to carry people from wherever they are in the world to the state of Israel. I was just talking with Coleman off the air, and that might be the biggest sign that Messiah came. Because look, we pray every day, and during prayers we say that that God will pick us up on his wings and he will fly us to Israel. And eagles carry their babies on their wings, and they fly. And airplanes carry people, well, maybe not on the wings, but on their backs. In their fuselage, which is basically the back of the airplane, their backs, their spine. Is this not an indication that Messiah has come and that we could just get on a plane and go to Israel and be there and live out our lives in the Holy Land? So why do we keep begging for Messiah to come? Why do we keep saying next year in Jerusalem? What about this year? What about next week in Jerusalem? What about this week in Jerusalem? What about tomorrow in Jerusalem? It's doable. It could happen. And yeah, I know there's all these excuses. I spoke to Jews all over the place. There's all these excuses. It's too dangerous. There's terrorism. I'm afraid. You're afraid. In 1946, Jews went to the Mandate of Palestine, which was a British mandate that was set up to create a Jewish state. But the British refused to do that because during World War I, I'll give you a little bit of a history lesson. During World War I, the British had made pacts with all these Arabs. That was the whole story of Lawrence of Arabia. So if you ever saw the movie Lawrence of Arabia, that was the story. That the British had made pacts with all these Arab tribes that they would break up the land. If they conquered the land, they would break up the land to give these Arab tribes their own regional homelands. And so after World War I, the British kind of cajoled the League of Nations to give them the Mandate of Palestine, which was that whole area of land in the Middle East, to control that area of land. The British saw this as their opportunity to live up to their promises they made all these Arab tribal leaders during World War I when they rose up to fight the Ottomans. And so the Hashemites, Jordan, Iraq, Hashemites, they gave Syria. They gave Syria. They gave land to all these different countries, and they created these different countries. A lot of these countries weren't there. They created these countries. It was all the Ottoman Empire, and the land was pretty hefker, and they created all these little countries in the area to pay back the Arabs for helping them fight the Ottomans during World War I. So the existence of the state of Israel, even though the entire land, the entire mandate of Palestine, no one ever talks about this, but the entire mandate of Palestine was given to the Jewish people. If you read the Mandate of Palestine, the actual written mandate, it was the British were there to facilitate the creation of a Jewish state in that land. So the entire land, including Jordan, and including the Golan Heights, including parts of a little part of Lebanon, a little part of Syria, all of that was part of Israel. Was part of what was proposed to be the Jewish state, which was pretty much a barren wasteland at the time. So let's look again. Let's look a little more. The state of Israel is created. Against all odds, the state of Israel is created. Against all odds, the state of Israel conquered and won Jerusalem and unified Jerusalem. Against all odds, in the middle of a desert, the Jewish people made the desert bloom. Grass, water, nothing was a challenge. They were able to work out everything. Modern cities in the middle of the desert. The miracles keep happening. Surrounded by enemies. Strongest country in the region. Nobody could defeat Israel. Hated by everybody. Standing strong in the center of the Middle East. Something to be proud of. Why are you proud of it? You're not proud of it because they keep getting attacked by all their neighbors. No, that's nothing to be proud of. You're not proud of it because they defended themselves successfully. That's something to be proud of, but that's not why we should be proud. What we should be proud of is that this is God's hand clearly holding on to this piece of land, clearly holding on to his people. This is God's hand saying, hey, Jews, yo, Jews, what are you, crazy? You want to live in France where you can't wear a yarmulke because they could kill you? You can't wear a kippah, you can't wear a skull cap because somebody's going to kill you? You want to go back and live in Germany where they massacred you and they massacred your people? They gassed and burned you to death? You want to live in North America? In North America, really? Where everybody hates the Jews? You want to live in Canada, a country that banned Jews from wearing any Jewish religious symbols if they're working as teachers or as police or as judges? You want to live in Australia where they spit at Jews? Why don't you want to live in Israel? This is God asking, why don't you want to live in Israel? You want to live in Florida where they're shooting people in front of synagogues? You want your synagogues to be fortresses? What's wrong with you? And that's the question God's asking. What is wrong with you? Why are you still not home? And he's asking me that question. He's asking you that question. He's asking everybody who lives in the diaspora that question. Why are you still not home? A question you have to think about and a question you have to ask. And once again, it all comes down to the same thing. State of Israel exists. We have the right to be there. And we choose not to. If Messiah came down tomorrow and said, I am the Messiah, would we take the person seriously? Food for thought. All right, in the last few minutes of the show, I wanted to tell you that I have a blog site, howiesilberger.com. You could go there and read my blogs for the last many, many years. I just started blogging this week on Times of Israel. The Times of Israel. I have a blog on the Times of Israel. So if you go to the timesofisrael.com and you click on the blog button, you'll be able to find me. Just search for Howie Silberger. You'll be able to find me. And my blog this week is titled, Don't Believe in God? Congratulations, you've removed yourself from Judaism, which is a topic we've spoken about on the show many times, a topic I love writing about. And even more exciting than the actual blog piece is the responses, mostly from Jews saying to me, what? You have to believe in God to be Jewish? Are you crazy? Who said that? I have Orthodox rabbis who will tell you that you don't have to believe in God to be Jewish. Really? It's like telling a Christian, you don't have to believe in Jesus to be a Christian. No. Come on. Who needs Jesus to be a Christian? Trolls that comment on these articles, they just make me laugh. I mean, first I find it frustrating. I try to argue with them a little bit, but this particular one, I argued with him for a few hours yesterday, and then after a few hours of arguing with him, he started asking me questions or started accusing me of stuff that I didn't even write in the piece. And I came to the realization after a couple of hours of going back and forth with this guy that he didn't bother reading the article. He just read the headline. He was upset with the headline. If you're going to argue with me, well, let's just set some ground rules. Actually read what I write. Actually read it. Read it. So you could follow me on Facebook. My Facebook is totally public, so just find me on Facebook. You could add me. You could read my Facebook stuff without adding me, whatever you want. You could follow my blog on howiesilberger.com. You can follow my blog on Times of Israel. you could, there's a lot of ways to contact me, to keep in touch, and to read the stuff that I write and the stuff I'm involved in. And I encourage you to do that, because a lot of the stuff I talk about on the show, I discuss in more in detail in other venues and other formats that I comment in. And I'm very active in all these different formats. I'm on Twitter too, so Instagram, Twitter, I'm everywhere. So find me and add me everywhere, and just follow what I'm talking about, because then when you listen to these shows, you'll understand where I'm coming from and where I got the information from and what I'm thinking and how I'm thinking. It's a great way for me to get to know you to get to know me, and us to get to know each other. All right, so that's about it. I am almost officially out of time. It is coming up to the witching hour, as they say, and I am almost officially out of time. I want to thank everybody who called in today, this show. I want to thank everyone. I'm so used to saying tonight. I want to thank everybody who called in to this show. I want to thank everybody who participated. I want to thank Coleman for being there, and of course Tamar for letting me on. I'm Howie Silberger. This is Political Hitman. We are heard every week here on Israel News Talk Radio. I will see you again next week.
If you love Israel News Talk Radio, then you'll love our Facebook page. We keep you up to date on what's happening in Israel, plus little surprise treasures that we don't share on the radio. Go now to follow us on Facebook. Just look for the Israel News Talk Radio Facebook page, and don't forget to subscribe and follow us by clicking on the like button. We post great stuff there that you'll want to share. Israel News Talk Radio on Facebook and Israel News Radio on Twitter.
If you're hearing this message, everyone else can too. Advertise with Israel News Talk Radio and get your message out to people. We'll build a personalized package for you. Contact advertising at IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com.
Straight talk from Israel. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
Hey, this is Jake in Anchorage, Alaska, and I love listening to all the super interesting interviews and up-to-date information on what's happening in Israel.
Hello, this is Anna King, originally from London, now living in Israel. And what can I say? Israel News Talk Radio is my cup of tea.
My name is Bhaskar. I'm from India, and I love listening because you get to know the truth and wonderful voices from this lovely country.
Mom! Okay, wait a minute. Hi, this is Chava Dax, and I'm calling from the rolling hills of Malaya Dumim, just north of Jerusalem. I always listen to Israel News Talk Radio to get all the latest news and commentary and to keep me up to date every day.
This is Sarah Dax from Malaya Dumim, and I'm 12. I wish Israel News Talk Radio was boring so my mom wouldn't listen to it all the time. Mom!
You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
News, opinion, and more. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.